Right, guys, at this point, I'm going to bring our guest out of the audience, Mrs. Sahar Hashemi. And we're very excited to have her join us. And before I give an introduction to her arriving, can she see us and can she hear us?
Perfectly, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sahar. So this is a rather special introduction to give, and I will start and do as best I can justice to your wide-ranging and very, very interesting career. Originally trained as a lawyer, it was a trip to New York and a Starbucks-style coffee that first got our guest today interested about business. 110 coffee shops later, a business making sweets, books on entrepreneurship, a successful speaking career, and an OBE from the Queen. What a story we are lucky enough to hear today. Thank you so much, Sahar, for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure. Hi, guys.
Hi, Sahar. Thank you from us for joining. As you know, there are lots of children listening. And my first question is about your childhood. Did you always know you were going to be an entrepreneur? Was it sort of in your blood?
No, never, ever, actually. That's why I never thought. There wasn't anything, there's this image we all have that entrepreneurs are, creative when they're children, and somehow, if you've made money in the school playground, that means you'll be an entrepreneur, or that your teachers will remember you for your creativity. But it was none of that for me. I didn't stand out in any way. I wasn't creative. I didn't show leadership skills. I didn't even like business as a child. I mean, which child likes business? But I didn't like, so I was definitely not at all that sort of image that we are led to believe that entrepreneurs are.
So what was the catalyst that got you into it in the first place?
Yes, the catalyst was basically, so I never thought it was even an option for me, because the image we have of an entrepreneur is, I used to look at Richard Branson, but I'm sure all the kids out there are looking at Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, and they think, well, I'm not as creative as them, I'm not as special. And that's exactly how I felt. And then I just went on one trip to New York. And in this trip to New York, I sort of saw these new style coffee bars. So imagine a life whereby back in the UK at that time, there were no coffee bars. So if you were like walking around and you wanted to get a cup of coffee, you had to go and sit in a cafe formally and sort of order a cup coffee, and it would come in a little china cup, and there was nothing like what we see now. There was no Starbucks concept, nothing. And when I went to New York, I saw the sort of Starbucks concept. It wasn't even, Starbucks hadn't even arrived in New York. It was a really new American style coffee concept. And I remember having a sort of skinny cappuccino and falling in love with it. And I loved the cups. I loved everything they gave with it. And that's really where I fell in love with it. And I just couldn't believe we didn't have it back in the UK. And it was just that idea that, gosh, I would really like to have a skinny latte, and I would really like to have a frappuccino in the summers, and I can't believe we can't get it. And that was really the idea.
Can I ask, sort of specific to your business at the time, but also business in general, what were the kind of hardest things about building that business? I'm sure it wasn't plain sailing all the way.
Gosh, Henry, it's all hard. I think people have a real fairy tale around building a business, but I think, it's all difficult. At the beginning, you've got an idea, and then everyone tells you, well, it's just an idea, that it's not going to necessarily work. Just because you want to have skinny cappuccinos doesn't mean this is a great business idea. So, so everyone's against you. Often your family, your friends say it won't work, because everyone loves telling you your idea is useless. So and then we went to bank managers, and we had 30 bank managers tell us, actually 29 bank managers tell us that coffee bars will never work in England. Could you imagine? We had this idea for the first coffee bar, and every single bank manager we saw said to us that we're a nation of tea drinkers, and there is no way that people will be ordering coffee. With the words they used was they won't be ordering fancy coffee names like mochas and words like tall and grande and things like that in the UK. So everyone, that was the hardest part, is all these obstacles the whole time of people saying it won't work.
So did you change, would you say that Coffee Republic was a behavior changer, or did you just preempt a behavior change?
Gosh, that's an interesting question. Well, we started people sandwich bars, but the thing I realized is drink coffee. I mean, adults drink coffee. Normally, most adults have to they sort of wake them up by drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. So all we did was, you know, turn that coffee into a nicer experience. So people were very much going to like coffee. They were going to their office, from the office coffee machine to get something, that sort of thing. But somehow we, you know, just changed the whole experience around it, really.
And was there like a moment where you felt like you'd made it with that business, or was it something that just grew organically and suddenly you look back on it and think, whoa?
Well, you know, Henry, the other thing I'll say is, you know, people have this image of overnight success and that, you know, think you start something and it's amazing. And it's never amazing. You know, we opened the doors to the UK's first coffee bar. So everyone out there, imagine there are no coffee bars in the UK and the first one opens. And now imagine, I think now we have 20,000 coffee bars in the UK, right? So we opened number one. And you would think, oh, well, that's like a no-brainer, right? You would think it would succeed and it would be an overnight success. But it wasn't an overnight success, because overnight successes don't really exist, as I'm sure the kids are learning, like through exams. That it's all about hard work and persistence. So we opened the doors to the first coffee bar in the UK and no one came in. So we had to make £700 a day, every day, to break even. But every day, every single day for 6 months, we were making only £200. And you can imagine 200 pounds of coffee sales isn't much, especially given that my poor mum was coming drinking as many cappuccinos as humanly possible. So without my mum drinking a lot of coffee just to sort of up our sales, not many people were coming. But, you know, we really believed in it and we didn't give up. And, you know, life's all about persistence. Entrepreneurship is all about persistence and just sticking with it and getting a no and failing and getting up. And it was a really difficult 6 months, where people weren't changing their habits. As you said, Walter, people were still used to going to the office and, you know, from the machine, getting a horrible sort of cup of coffee in their office coffee machine. But, you know, we really believed in it. And that's the power of really believing in, you know, what you've got and sort of passion.
Sorry, go ahead, Walter.
No, I just love the story. And so you, just a comment here before I say, HB just says, I love her, she's amazing. Anyway.
Oh, thank you, HB.
So what was the turning point? You were trying to break even £700 a day. Your mum was drinking all your cappuccinos. What was the tipping point? Was it a marketing campaign? Was it a price drop?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So we tried a million things, right? So I remember we were outside. We had these two employees that we'd actually nicked them from Pret a Manger because they came with a Pret a Manger training manual. I put them outside. I gave them vanilla and sort of lattes and mochas for people to taste, and people would just drink them and then not come in. And I remember, like, it was Fashion Week. I went myself and made cappuccinos for all the editors, and no one would write about us. And then Aer Lingus magazine, your Aer Lingus, the Irish airline, their in-flight magazine, wrote a little article, teeny article, and it said, if you go to London, you must go and order a cinnamon latte. I remember it said cinnamon latte at Coffee Republic. And I remember almost in the next sort of 2 weeks, 40 people brought a little copy of that article and said, oh, can we have a cinnamon latte? What's a cinnamon latte? And literally, I think that was a breaking point. You know, somehow you just got some energy going and we were in the press. And then from then on, it was easier. But, you know, it's never that easy. You know, we opened 110 stores in 5 years and we became, you know, a great British brand. But, you know, those stories always come with hard work, and you think it's not good enough and you think you're going to fail, and, you know, you're insecure and you don't believe in yourself. And, you know, but that's the story of success that no one really ever talks about.
Can I ask, you worked closely with your brother throughout that project. Was that easy? Was it difficult? What strengths did you each bring to the project?
Well, my brother and I, so we're 3.5 years apart, me and my brother Bobby, and we never really worked together. And funny enough, he'd been educated in America, I was educated here. But what we always say is we got our sort of training in the sandpit, because I don't know how everyone's relationship is with their siblings, but I think the one person in life you can really have a proper fight with is your sibling. So basically with my brother, sort of 1 minute we were fighting so hard that we were almost sort of plotting each other's deaths, saying, Jeremy, I want to like kind of, you know, crack your skull in two 1 minute. And next minute we'd be like, hey there, should we go out? You know what I mean? Go out for a drink or go and meet some friends. So in a funny way, the fact that we were able to sort of have it out and, you know, properly have a good old argument about something. I remember once we were trying to choose the color of the second store we had, and we were on home base. And we had this enormous fight in the middle of the home base aisle about the color of caramel for the walls. And it was literally like a screaming match. But then next minute you forget about it and we're out sort of eating a pizza together. So I think, you know, a brother is a sort of a sibling is a great person to start a business, although I'm sure no one can ever imagine starting with their sibling.
So from Coffee Republic, I believe you sold it in 2001, did you say?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Quite soon, 5 years later, yeah.
So you build this massive business, you sell it, and then you go from entrepreneur to author. There's lots of business books out there, and children as young as 8 are starting on business studies. So my question is, how do you make a business book accessible and not something which is, dare I say, trite or overused?
No, well, basically, when we left Coffee Republic, it was sort of, it all happened rather quickly. It was over 5 years. And I was just really bored, frankly. You know, I loved the business and suddenly, you know, I'd made some money, but I didn't have anything to do. And I was used to having a wonderful, exciting life every day of challenging and getting the UK drinking coffee. And someone said, if you're bored, why don't you write a book about the whole experience? And at that time, people hadn't really written sort of books about entrepreneurship. It was just this meant to be this kind of myth that, you know, you're special and you start a business and it just happens like that. So I spent a year actually going through all the faxes and notes that Bobby and I wrote and all the letters we wrote. And I sort of put this book together. And I remember telling a friend of mine, I don't know what to call it. And the whole idea of the book was that actually forget about the myth of the Mark Zuckerberg, Richard Branson, Elon Musk. You know, anyone can do it. Entrepreneurship is something that is accessible to all of us. It's just like it's almost a step-by-step process. And if you follow that process, you become an entrepreneur. So I called it Anyone Can Do It. So in a way, I wrote it from the heart. And the idea of writing a book, I mean, I never thought I would write a book, let alone a bestseller, to be honest with you, Walter. I mean, literally, if I had to write a thank you letter, it would take me 2 painful days to sort of string a thank you letter. So the idea that I could write a book, but I think in life, you know, if you just apply yourself to something and start doing the first page, it happens. You know, the first draft actually I wrote of the book was like 30 pages. And I sent it to my mum. It was like 30, like A4 pages. I was like, this is it. This is the book. And then she was like, okay, expand, expand, expand. And then it became the book. Yeah. So it's sort of.
And if you had to condense some of that advice, either written or spoken, for young people in terms of business progression and entrepreneurship, is there a kind of go-to piece of advice you have for particularly young business-minded people?
Well, I think, Henry, for every idea, let's first say anyone can do it. So let's say that no one should ever, you know, bar themselves out from entrepreneurship and say, I'm not the entrepreneurial type just because I didn't show any traits right now in childhood. So let's say that one. So once you eliminate that one and everyone says, I am an entrepreneur, which everyone should say. The second one is about the idea. And the thing about the idea is, I'm sure so many of you out there have had an idea and thought, yeah, but I just like it. Maybe it's not a good idea. And that's what every entrepreneur thinks. Maybe it's not a great idea. And you never really know if something's a great idea until you actually try it. So that the big thing is, once you get the idea, almost an idea is, it's like a sort of gun in a starting race, in a race. You just got to start with your idea. Don't wait for it to be perfect, because there's no such thing as a perfect idea. Ideas don't start perfect. They just start as a little idea in your head. So whatever it is right now in lockdown, you know, our lives has changed so much, and there must be something you're all missing. You know, there must be something you're thinking, I can't believe I can't get that. I can't believe I can't find that. And that is actually a great business idea. And you should start on that. And even, you know, start sending it to friends, family. You know, you have not, and I think young people have great ideas. I mean, there are wonderful books about creativity saying the power of childlike thinking. So I think if children knew how precious childlike thinking is, and that how their ideas should be respected, because often you see things really as they are, and you don't have all that baggage that when you're older you've got, that it won't work and stuff. So that naive childlike thinking is actually brilliant. So I think everyone has got an idea, think about it, because it could be an amazing idea, and you've just got to start, you know, trialing it, doing a tiny one, you know what I mean, seeing how it sells. I did that with Skinny Candy. You were mentioning my candy business. I just loved sort of sweets, and then I didn't want to eat sugar, so I came up with sugar-free sweets. And I literally I mocked up the first bag in a very sort of Blue Peter way. And I showed it to someone. They said, that looks great. And then I mocked up a couple and I was making them a home. I mean, that's how great things start.
I could save it. I could save it for the quickfire round, but I'm not going to. We had a lovely question from Max and Leo, which is, what is your favorite type of sweet?
My favorite type of sweet is probably a biscuit, I should think. Yeah, I love it. Would you believe I'd actually like a custard cream, in fact.
Well, we might come to some biscuits later.
Exactly.
Sahar, you've got a hugely successful speaking career as well. And my question is very simply, do you get nervous on stage?
Yes, I get so nervous. Yeah, absolutely. I wake up really early when I know I'm going to speak that day, and I get really nervous. Yeah, and I used to be such a bad speaker that when I had my own 21st, I remember I had a party for my 21st birthday, and I couldn't actually get up and speak among all my friends. And I asked for a friend of mine to speak for me. So this is how bad I was when I was a child. So I was never one to be great at debating or anything. And now I think the last speech I gave was in front of 3,000 people. So again, practice makes perfect. You sort of, you don't start off amazing at something. You build yourself, you grow into being really great at something.
Do you have advice for kids who do get nervous speaking? I mean, it's something you just seem to do so naturally. I know you said you
it's so not natural, Henry. God, it was not natural to start with. I mean, the first one I gave was a disaster. The second one I gave, and I remember I gave 30 speeches when I first started. The first one was literally white knuckle. I was holding onto the table, reading my notes, sweating. And then I remember I did 30. And so they weren't very good up to 30. And I remember at 30, the 30th speech I gave, I thought, ooh, this is getting easier. I can do this. So it's practice. I mean, if you're scared of speaking, just keep speaking, keep putting yourself out there and just keep trying.
I mean, that in a nutshell is surely the best piece of advice for any child, adult listening, which is if you're scared of putting your hand up in a class or presenting, just keep doing it. And then you'll suddenly enjoy the session much more because you're not feeling pressurized.
Imagine, guys, just think about that. It takes 30 speeches in public to even feel like you're remotely good at it. I don't believe you, Sahar, but I will take your word for it.
Yeah, and actually, just to add to that advice, is the one thing I have learned is sort of, in a way, it's okay to get it wrong at the beginning. You know what I mean? It's okay if you fail, and just try not to listen to that. A lot of people wait to be perfect, and they're always, in our minds, we're always rehearsing, like, am I going to be good? I've got to be. And you just got to put that perfection away and just say, do you know what? I don't know how I'm going to be, but I'm just going to give it a try. So you don't let that fear come in to paralyze you, I think, and think too much. I just don't think too much about things, I just do them and hope they work out.
Can I ask more generally, what do you think makes an engaging speaker? You've heard from so many.
I think just being true to yourself, just speaking from the heart. And often, hopefully, when you're asked to speak about something you know quite well. So in a way, it's just if you speak from the heart and you're honest and you don't let that voice of fear come in, because sometimes if you're up there on stage and that voice comes in, am I doing well? I wonder what people think. And I just try to forget about what people think and just think, you know what, I'm just up there sharing. And that's just all I can do is just put my best out there.
When Henry and I came to listen to you last year, you gave a speech with about 1,000 people in the room, and listening to you was like listening to you now. It was as if we were talking in a small group of people, and It doesn't matter whether there's 2,000 or 20, does it?
Yeah, because you just don't want to like hype yourself. People just terrify themselves. It's so easy to sit there terrifying ourselves about something, and you just can't do it. Life's too short to sit there terrifying yourself. Just do it. Just who cares?
Okay, we have a quick. Well, in a second we have a quick fire round, but I wanted to ask, what's next? What is next for Sahar?
Oh gosh, what's next? Well, hopefully once we get out of lockdown, I think doing sort of much more speaking. So I'm sort of entering the American speaking market where it's very exciting and you speak to huge audiences. So that's really what I'd love to do at the moment. I've just got on my third book about how people in big companies can behave more like entrepreneurs. So it's about really, once we get out of this, promoting that book and, and just always learning, I think, and continuing. And I have no idea, Walter, if there's another business in there, but I haven't come across anything I miss yet, really. So we'll see.
Well, there we have it. Someone who didn't think they were right to do a business, who's done several, and someone who didn't think they were a good speaker, who's now a professional global speaker. So if that's not encouragement for everyone listening, I don't know what is. So we have a very simple quick fire round. You don't have to answer in one word, but just a short answer each. So I'll start and then Walter can carry on from there. Favorite business?
Well, as in like shop or like business or?
A business you most admire.
Oh God, Amazon. Amazing. Oh my God, life-changing, right?
That's going to come up in my quiz later. Sahar, where do you your favorite coffee shop?
What I just can't possibly say is a favorite coffee shop because it's not Coffee Republic, right? So my own espresso machine at home, I can say.
Very good, very diplomatic.
We've got 3 siblings listening here, Christopher, Peter and Christina, who want to know what your favorite drink is.
My favorite drink is a skinny latte. I'm afraid it's really boring, but it's actually fun. Now I've moved to soy, so a soy latte. And I do like I do confess, I do like a frappuccino.
We've also got Starbucks or Costa.
Starbucks. Unfortunately, I don't like Costa at all. Actually, I really can't drink Costa.
Me too. In this house, we couldn't.
No, exactly.
So, who's your most admired business person?
Well, funny enough, again, Jeff Bezos. I think he's pretty amazing at the moment. What he's done with Amazon. Yeah, I'd say Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
And let's have. We got a great one here from Judah, who was on the call earlier. Haribo's or Malwams?
Oh gosh, definitely not Haribo. So Malwams are like the foamy ones. Yeah, Malwams.
Okay.
I have to finish on a more serious note, Henry. You've had an amazing and continue to have an amazing career. What has been the best moment of your career so far?
I think in a funny way, when my book became a bestseller, I think that was because, I never thought I could write a book, and the whole book's got the whole Coffee Republic story in it, and it's always there to keep, and it's something I never thought I could do. So writing a best-selling business book, I think was
I guess it's nice because it wraps up all the things you've done as well.
Exactly.
Where can we buy it? What?
On Amazon. Yeah, exactly. And anyone.
No wonder you're a fan of Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I know exactly.
On Amazon. I'm going to buy it after this. That's what I'm going to do.
I see. Well, we'll have to get a signed copy. Right. We couldn't leave you alone without playing a quick game of Biscuit Face. So to explain, Sahar, it's very simple. We have a leaderboard. We've got, said folks on here. Sharmadine Reed, Justin Rose, Andrei Shevchenko, Tim Henman, all sorts of interesting people. And very few of them have actually managed to get a biscuit from their forehead to their mouth. But we have some rock star kids out there who are very good at this. And they like to say, you know what? She may have had 110 coffee shops, but I beat her. So
I'll be so bad, I think. Oh my God.
We're going to give you your chance. I'm going to time. And we've got 30 seconds on the clock. And essentially, it's like the after 8 game. No hands, on the forehead, down to the mouth.
So custard cream. I've got custard cream, my favorite.
Custard cream could actually be quite a good choice, I think. Some people go for digestive, which is
it's ridged. I thought it's got ridges, so it might sort of stick. It's like sort of.
Well, as Henry said, the person who won this had a beard and a hobnob. So.
Yeah. Sadly, you have.
Just give it one try, or do I keep trying until
you can keep trying? If you drop it and you're happy to pick it up, you can keep going as long as you want.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we'll give you some commentary, and let us know how it's going too. All right. 30 seconds starting now.
Oh no! I can't use my hand. Sorry.
You want not too much speed at the top. It's very gentle.
Imagine there are thousands of children across the country playing Biscuit Face.
Oh God! I knew I'd be rubbish. No, this is awful.
You've got 5 more seconds.
Sorry. Sahar, you're an extraordinary entrepreneur. You're not an extraordinary Biscuit Face player.
Definitely not.
A valiant and very brave effort. We've got comments here from Everett saying, my one just melted. Max and Leo, I still can't do this. And Willem with 12 seconds. So well done, all those out.
Oh,
so I'm just going to leave you with a comment from someone who says, she is so engaging, so helpful for children, and speaks so much from the heart. She is just wonderful. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us on the show. And we're
very grateful. We wish you a lovely rest of the week.
The whole sort of Oppidan entrepreneurs can start, the entrepreneurs club.
We're actually, during lockdown, we've been running a young enterprise club, which has been really popular. So we're going to keep doing it. Dragon's Den and entrepreneurship galore. Maybe we can get you as a guest judge.
Yeah, they can send in the ideas. There must be a million ideas all these kids have got. I'm
Fantastic.
sure.
We did have a comment earlier saying, please, can we have some advice for our gaming business? And I said exactly that. I said, let me know and I'll forward it on.
Yeah, definitely. Lovely.
So thank you so much. We wish you a lovely time in the sunshine the rest of the week. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks.
Thanks,